Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. We are back today with a massive video updating you on this Friday morning with the latest on JOão Felix with Felix and Osimhen. You're going to find out in this video my Premier League predictions for the whole of the Premier League season, but because we're a Chelsea channel, I want to keep things Chelsea centric, and obviously the stories that we talk about in today's video will have a direct impact on what happens to Chelsea's final league position in this Premier League season. Before we do go any further into this video though, I have got you guys a discount code for the new Chelsea kit, whether that's the home kit, the away kit, the third kit. If you use the links that I've got for you in the description and then use the discount code GBFC10 at the official Chelsea Megastore for your new kit online, then you get yourself 10% off, which is actually a big saving. If the kit's 100 quid, you save yourself a tenner. And I'll be very transparent and honest with you, because that's what we do here on GBFC. For every time you purchase something through that link in the description, I get a small little cut of it, which is great. So you're naturally supporting me. You get yourself the new kit with 10% off, which you don't get in many other places at all. But we move here to start this video. I'm going to go through my Premier League predictions. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the other clubs because this is a Chelsea channel, but obviously pre-season, it's very Chelsea centric. It's all about our friendlies. It's all about the transfers, who we're going to sell, who we're going to buy. Yesterday's video, I tell you who I think should be loaned, who I think should be sold. I'm absolutely buzzing with that video. You guys have absolutely loved it. And I look at it back and I watched it again last night and I'm like, I actually think that this is the Chelsea squad that I think we're going to get. I think it's the Chelsea squad that I think I want to see. And all of it will play in to what happens to Chelsea this season. It's a weird Premier League season in a way. And it's a weird one in the sense of you've got no Jurgen Klopp anymore. You've got pending point deductions potentially, relegations, transfer bans for multiple different clubs. You've got Man City with their 115 charges. I'm pretty sure there's no way that Chelsea, before the end of this season, don't get some kind of punishment, be that a point deduction or a transfer ban. And as much as you might say, but how can Chelsea do it? We've been in within the rules. But the Premier League have been investigating us for what happened under Roman. And of course, Man City's 115 charges, we'll just wait and see what happens with that. That's basically what we've been told the whole time. But with Chelsea, I'm pretty sure something might happen, but I'm hoping it's not going to be a point deduction. So, when we start here with the bottom three, the Premier League has become a little bit predictable. There is a gulf in the class when I look at the squads in the Premier League this season between Leicester, Southampton, and also Ipswich Town, who are back in the Premier League. Ed Sheeran has just bought a stake of Ipswich Town, which is exciting if you're an Ed Sheeran fan. Quite like Ed Sheeran myself. But I think they're all going back down. And you can see here that I've got it Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester. I think it could genuinely be in any of those orders. Above them, I've gone with Everton, Brentford, Wolves, Forest, Bournemouth. And I think, again, this season, the Premier League is going to kind of be segmented into different packs. It's going to be segmented into different quality levels. And that is when we start to get into the mid-table positions. And I think Fulham and Crystal Palace will be propping up the rest of the Premier League table. I think Emil Smith-Rowe could be a really good signing for Fulham. I think he's kind of lost his way at Arsenal after an injury. Their team has developed, their squad has developed, they've got better, and he kind of stagnated. But I think now he'll have a main part in a Fulham side. I think they could grow. I think Glasner is a great manager. I think he's going to continue doing well at Crystal Palace, even though they've sold Olise to Bayern Munich. Then we start looking at the top half of the Premier League table. And this is where we can slowly start throwing in the little what's going to happen at Chelsea anecdotes. And the way that I have structured this Premier League table is, to be fair, Man City probably will be in the relegation zone come the end of the season because of a point deduction. But I've done it based on 38 games played and who's going to accrue the most points without catering for point deduction for you, point deduction for you, transfer ban for you, mate, and are you okay down there? Brighton in 10th. I've gone with Spurs down in 9th, and this isn't me just being all Chelsea, don't like Spurs, hate Spurs. I genuinely just think they're going to struggle this season. I think Ange Postecoglou did well last year, but I also think it's still a gamble. I think it's still a learning experience for Tottenham. I think they started to grasp his ideas very early last season, but is it too one-dimensional for the Prem? Yes, it is. When we look ahead of Aston Villa are ahead of Spurs. I've got Aston Villa down in 8th because I think they're going to struggle with the Champions League. I think they're going to do okay in the Champions League, but I think having those extra games and losing Douglas Luiz is going to be massive for Aston Villa. 7th, I've got West Ham. I think it could work at West Ham. It also might just completely not work at West Ham. No David Moyes anymore. I think they're going to be exciting to watch. I think they're building an amazing starting 11 there. I think Fulkrug is a really good signing up front. Mohamed Kudus, I think, is going to continue to grow this season. Wouldn't be surprised to see West Ham sell him for a solid 100-odd million quid next summer. We then move into Newcastle United in 6th place in the Premier League. No European football this year. That is going to help them massively. 5th, this is the part where you're all wondering, Benson, what have you done with the mighty Chelsea? Man United I've got in 5th place in the Premier League. I think they might have a good start this season, Man United. That club is always 1 or 2 defeats away from just capitulating, falling apart. Is the fan base going to stick with Erik ten Hag all season long? And I know there's a lot of irony there. I'm not saying that in like a, you shouldn't be like this, Man United fans. I'm saying this purely as I think it's going to happen this way. Chelsea I've got in 4th. And this is where in a moment when we give you the updates on the new signings, JOão Felix, Victor Osimhen, it's happening. Is it happening? There's a lot of questions to be asked, but I'm going to talk to you about why it is happening and why that is why I've put Chelsea in 4th. These predictions that I've got here are based on the ideology and based on the notion, the motion that JOão Felix and Victor Osimhen will be joining Chelsea with successful transfers this summer. 3rd place, I've got Manchester City. Can you stay motivated to just keep on winning it when Arsenal are getting better? I think Liverpool will come 2nd. Don't want to make this too anticlimactic here because this is a Chelsea video. Arsenal, I think, are going to win the Premier League. I think they're finally going to do it. Arne Slot, I think, is going to have a really exciting season for Liverpool. But Chelsea under Enzo Maresca, finishing 4th in the Premier League. Let me tell you, in my opinion, what finishing 4th would mean for Chelsea this year. First of all, I personally think it is a success for both the owners of the club and the way that they've strategized what they've done at Chelsea by spending loads of money in 4 transfer windows, firing Maurizio Pochettino when he actually started to prove himself and looked like a really good Chelsea manager, and hiring Enzo Maresca. It would make all 3 of these things that have looked very questionable so far to the Chelsea fan base and the wider footballing audience and market. There aren't many people that are looking at this and thinking, I really get what they're trying to do here. I think this is the right decision. I think that decision is the right one because they just did that. So many questions right now at Chelsea Football Club hang on the success of this season. This is a massive season for Chelsea in so many ways. This is probably the biggest season that we have had, in my opinion, since Antonio Conte won us the Premier League. And at that point, when we won the league last in 2017, 7 years ago, it'll be 8 years ago by the time the end of this season comes out. Yeah, basic maths, Benson, what are you on about? When Chelsea won the league then, we were still during this process of hiring top managers, firing top managers. Jose Mourinho was there, then he was gone. Conte's in there, top manager, we win the Premier League. From that point, we were starting to dabble. We had Maurizio Sarri, didn't work out. We had Frank Lampard and a transfer ban. This is going to be a new project now. It's a new kind of era. We're going to have a different kind of squad. Didn't work out. Thomas Tuchel, absolute elite footballing manager, but it didn't work. Since then, it's been trial, error, no Champions League for 2 successive seasons. It imperatively cannot be no Champions League again this year and then say to one another, oh yeah, the club is still going in a good direction. This season, based on the fact that last year, towards the end of it, we somehow managed to get ourselves 6th, but it easily, if we'd have had a couple of more good results last year, you beat Sheffield United, you beat Burnley, when we both draw those matches 2-2. If Chelsea won those games, I think the momentum we could have had to get other results around different fixtures around those games could have got us top 4, which is a mad thing to think about when I think about like percentage clusters of last season. 75% of the season I thought was abysmal. I really wasn't happy with the way that we were playing, the inconsistency of results, the copious amounts of injuries that we had and suffered with. And that for me is why 6th last season, why it felt so good at the end of it. To win 5 matches on the spin, clearly because we finally started to see tactical implementation of a different nature from Pochettino. That got me excited again. I'm excited about Maresca because I genuinely think here that it could fall in one of 2 ways. Very exciting, philosophical manager who wants us to play a certain way, possession-based football, bit like Pep Guardiola. We've got great players, it could work. Then there's this hand that is like inexperienced manager with an inexperienced squad in an incredibly competitive Premier League. It could fall flat on its face, and then is he a big enough character? Is Maresca a big enough personality to motivate a group of players that, to be honest, as much as it's a brand new squad again because we've spent so much money, as much as there are still question marks, and we're going to talk about the news regarding Felix and Osimhen in a second. Stay with me, all right? This is still a Chelsea squad that I think needs motivating. I think it's a Chelsea squad that believe that being a Chelsea player means competing for Champions Leagues, competing for Premier Leagues. And I worry if they're not doing that, which we'll find out by the end of September, if this Chelsea squad have any kind of capacity to be competitive for the top honours this season. If we're in the top 4 come the end of September, trust me, we're in a Champions League race. If we are within 5 points of the leaders by the end of January, we're in a title race. That's the way I'm looking at things this season. I'm not going to be throwing all my toys out the pram, even if we get 2 points in the first 5 games. I'm not going to be happy about it. And I'm going to say I'm not happy about it. I'm going to say that we need a plan B and that we're not ready yet for these kind of levels of philosophy football. I will say all of those things, but we are going to have to try this season to be more patient than ever before. And it could go really well, or it could absolutely fall flat on its face and be a disaster. Not to say that I won't call out bad decisions. Not to say that I won't call out awful substitutions or a lack of plan B. That, I think, for me is the sticking point. If Chelsea aren't doing well, playing the way that Maresca wants us to play, will he be willing to adapt things and his philosophy to grow as a manager on the job? To change the results based on the way that he's setting the team out to play? These are the questions that if the answer is yes, then I think Maresca will be a success. If the answer is yes, then I think Chelsea's season will be a success. However, if we do not sign Victor Osimhen, I think we're going to finish 6th. That's my genuine prediction. Lift Man United up into 4th, lift Newcastle up into 5th. If we do not sign Osimhen, then I think Chelsea finish in 6th. Why do I think that? I think to ask Nicholas Jackson to not be injured at all this season is asking for a lot. I think the moment that you tell Nkunku to not play behind a striker and play as the striker because we needed backup as a striker, I think he's not as good. Same for Cole Palmer. I think the way that this Chelsea team tick is by having Nkunku and Palmer, 2 world-class players, 2 brilliant technicians of a football, 2 amazing passers of a ball. You need to make sure that you are getting the very best out of these 2 players every single time they're out there on the pitch. And if you've got Nicholas Jackson as a striker, you can get the best out of Nkunku and Palmer for sure. I think if you've got Victor Osimhen as your striker, not only do you add leadership to that front line, not only do you add the Serie A's top goal scorer, probably the best goal scorer for the past few years, but you add a target man in there. You give Chelsea variety. You give us another option. You give us another outlet. I think Osimhen, in a pressing system, will press. Will make sure that the goalkeeper is suffocated and Chelsea get the ball back, and then you've got these quick technical players to feed on the scraps afterwards. I think he's the missing piece of the jigsaw here. And that isn't the jigsaw of Chelsea lifting the Premier League in the air. I still think we're at least 2 seasons away from that, even if this year is a success. Realistically. Wait till Pep Guardiola's gone from City. Wait until Liverpool realise that Arne Slot isn't Jurgen Klopp. Fingers crossed, that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. But I think Chelsea's success this year absolutely hangs on whether or not we bring in someone that can support Nicholas Jackson. I love Mark Yu. I think he's going to become a great player. But to say to Mark Yu, if Nicholas Jackson isn't fit, listen, Mr. 18-year-old Barcelona boy, we need you to get us Champions League. I'm worried about it. I'm not going to lie. The latest regarding JOão Felix and the move to Chelsea. Rumour on the street is that today is a big day. It's been quiet for a couple of days. Today's Friday. We've got Premier League football to focus on this weekend. Match preview out tomorrow. I think today's a big day and there will be a breakthrough between Chelsea, Atletico Madrid for the signing of JOão Felix, which would also then directly lead into the sale of Conor Gallagher. With Victor Osimhen, at the moment, Napoli are the ones pulling the strings. Napoli are the ones that are directing Lukaku. They're also in London to try and seal the signing of Billy Gilmour from Brighton. But Napoli at the moment are the ones moving faster because Antonio Conte wants Romelu Lukaku to start the season with him. Antonio Conte knows, even from his time at Chelsea, that knowing the players that you've got for the season gives you the best chance to start implementing tactical change to do as well as you can in that season and win the league. That's what Conte is there to do at Napoli. So, at the moment, it is very much Napoli that are being instructive to Chelsea, saying, we want Lukaku for this. We're only going to pay you this. Yes, you want Osimhen, but these are separate deals. And Victor Osimhen doesn't want to budge from his wages, isn't interested in a loan move, wants it at worst case scenario with an obligation for Chelsea Football Club to buy him. And I think there's a lot of talks as well that Chelsea will be offering Cesare Casadei, another player that Napoli potentially might want in their squad. Lukaku, Casadei and 45 million euros cash was what I've recently heard about Chelsea wanting Victor Osimhen. For me, just the whole idea of getting these Lukaku wages off the books, getting him out the squad. Casadei, another young player, another set of wages off the squad. I think Chelsea here, it's this whole season, hence this video, really hangs on whether or not Osimhen comes. I think if JOão Felix comes, I don't think he guarantees us top four. I think he brings us a bit of champagne football. I think he gets us excited a few times, but I don't think it does what Osimhen to Chelsea does. In my personal opinion, I think this Osimhen signing is the difference between us being a Champions League club again, looking at the project and being like, we're succeeding, we're going in the right direction, or it's another languishing at Europa League football at best. But at the same time, Chelsea have informed Napoli that we are going for the player. So I think at this point in time, when the Omarodion deal is off, JOão Felix is not an out-and-out striker, and I don't think anyone at Chelsea, even with this try and buy everybody kind of setup that we've got going on in recent years, I don't think anyone really thinks that JOão Felix, instead of Omarodion, is the okay, we've got everything now player. If we're led to believe that this was a 4-window plan, a 4-window strategy, then if you believe that, then you know that a signing of the calibre of Victor Osimhen as your striker is very much a, you look at the squad and you think, massive gamble still with the defence. Are they good enough? That's what you wait and see for. But you look at the attack that Chelsea will have. Palmer, Neto, Jackson, flipping Nkunku, Osimhen. Come on. How does that not get you Champions League football? How? I'm excited for this season, guys. I really am. I'm excited in the hope that there is a positive end to this Victor Osimhen saga if you're a Chelsea fan and we get him. I'm excited for JOão Felix to be back at Chelsea if we can get this one done. I'm also now at this point, as much as I didn't want Gallagher sold, for him as an individual and for the club, I just kind of want this whole transfer saga regarding those deals and swap him for him and we're going to buy him if you buy. I just want all of that done. I just want to focus on Chelsea winning football matches, and that begins this Sunday at home to Manchester City. As well as that, at the start of the video, I told you about your discount code that you've got now for buying Chelsea shirts at the official mega store. I've also got my FPL code for my league. The GBFC league is also in the description. thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know your Premier League predictions in the comments below. Let me know your expectations for Chelsea this season in the comments down below. I want to see us competitive. I don't want to see us chasing up the table, looking above us and thinking, God, we need to win our last 8 games to even get 6th. I don't want us to have a poor start to this season. It is imperative for the fan base's trust in Maresca, the fan base's trust that we're clinging on to, some of us still, for this project. It is imperative that we begin this season well. And I genuinely think that that even starts against City. I don't expect anything against Man City. I never will, and I never do. But just put in a shift. Put in a performance that we can be like, yeah, that's Man City. They're brilliant. They win everything every year. But at least we competed. At least we look as though there's a plan. And there does look like there's a plan, even though we've won 1 in the opening 6 games this pre-season. But I'm optimistic. I'm excited. Let me know your expectations and thoughts for Chelsea this year in the comments down below. And as well as that, make sure you check out the link and the code that I'll put on the screen at the bottom here to join the GBFC Fantasy Premier League. Premier League. Yeah, you get it. Gonna wrap up this video here, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all in a bit. Come on, you Blues.